Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get into it with our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. We have Minna coming to us all the way from Finland. She's a 4-time IFBB Pro champ, and yeah, she's on here to share her health and fitness journey and discuss all things health and fitness. Believe it or not, she's our second guest on from Finland, but that is awesome. I'm glad that I'm having some Finnish guests on to share their journeys with us, but Minna, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be in different podcasts and talk about the fitness journey. And yes,
Absolutely. Well, I start out every episode. What is the weather like in Finland today?
today it's actually, we still have a lot of snow, but it's getting warmer, or how do you call it? But still, it's like minus 5 degrees. But we are going towards spring. Yeah.
Which is good. The same thing is happening here, so I'm a little more optimistic now. So I'm going to be a little bit more upbeat this podcast. But to get things started, why don't you just first off give us your backstory and what eventually led you to become a bodybuilder?
I started to do a sport when I was 8 years old. I started with rhythmic gymnastics. That was quite popular here in Finland, and I did that for 10 years. We had a team and we competed. And when everyone went to different schools, it was time that I was thinking, okay, what will I do next? I started also to compete in cheerleading when I was 14. We started we were present at the games, ice hockey games. So yeah, we were there, and then later on we started to compete also in that. And I actually competed in cheerleading like 15 years, and my my best things in that were our team was 5-time Finnish national like champ, and then 3 times European champion, and then we finished second in the World Championships. That was our best in Orlando, Florida, actually. Yeah, I had my last cheerleading worlds when I was, yeah, it was, when was it? Well, it was almost like 10 years ago, but still, I did long time that. And after the gymnastic team ended, I wanted to do, beside cheerleading, I wanted to do some alone sport, like individual sport, because I didn't do that before. So actually, I was first interested doing aerobics because that was the thing then in Finland. But then I actually saw one fitness competitor. She was just walking around in the streets, and I said to my mom like, "Oh my God, I want to look like her when I grow up." And then I started to take more like I read magazines or the muscle mags and things like that. And I was actually I've always been interested or building muscle. So that was something. As long as I remember, I was probably 10, 11 years old when I draw already a drawing where there was a muscular woman, like when the teacher asked like what you are going to be when you grow up. So I already know like then that that's something that I want to develop my body into. And I have always been interested about sports and maybe like aesthetic sports like gymnastic, cheerleading, and fitness came quite. I think it was a normal continuing from that where I came from. And yeah, I actually searched where the lady was working at that time. I went to the gym and I said, "Do you coach athletes? And I would like to actually compete in fitness." And she was like, "Okay, let's see what you can do." And after 1 year, I competed in my first fitness competition in Finland. And then it was the junior category, and I placed second, which I think was really good because if if I would have won the first thing, I don't know how it would have affected me because. But now when I was second, I was like, damn, next year I will be the champ next year, and it gave me so much like motivation. I got to be more involved in the industry, and I started to know more about the whole sport, about diet and training and everything. Because the first year, of course, looking back now, every year is something that you learn something new, and that's pretty amazing that you can still learn new things like almost like every week. So that's something that I think this sport is it's challenging, but it also like gives you all the time new information and new things that you can like go towards.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also a sport too where a lot of people are not comfortable with going on stage in a bikini and posing in front of a lot of, it takes a lot of courage. Do you think that that sheer background really helped you with being able to showcase yourself in front of a lot of people and not really be as nervous maybe as someone who didn't have that background?
Actually, I think so. Yeah, because every week we were doing those ice hockey games, and we were there cheering up our team. And besides that, we with the competitions, and we had photo shoots and all kind of like events where we were representing the team and our team. So I think it was really good background where I came from to the fitness competitions. Yeah, but still, I still remember the first time when I went there because I thought that, okay, this is not so big deal. Let's go with the bikinis and everything. But when I was standing there, I remember that it was actually more like I felt how my whole body like started a little bit like shaking, and I was like, "What is happening? What is happening?" But then the second round was immediately more like it wasn't anymore so like nerve-wracking moment to be there the next time with the bikinis. So yeah, but the first time is always like so exciting, even though you would have a different kind of background, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what was that journey like for you mentally getting into the sport? Because I mean, there's so many changes that happen to your body when you get into this sport, but mentally, I mean, that transformation that takes place in your mind is so much more important than any physical change. But unfortunately, people are just going to say, you know, like, oh, Mina, you look amazing. They're not going to really realize the mental change. But what has this whole journey into this sport been like for you mentally?
uh well, maybe the first one, of course, when I came from a team sport to individual sport, it's a quite big change because now you are the one who is responsible, like everything, like um, you are the one who goes the training alone, and you are the one who do the diets, and also in the competitions, you can only be like, okay, I did this good, I did this not so good. So that was, I think, some kind of change, of course. And then maybe not the first year, but then when the first like how do you say, when I was aiming all the time to win the competitions, and then when I didn't actually win, and I think that was at first I wasn't so good loser. That's like how to say that, but it was actually mentally like it was at first quite rough to understand like why they don't like me and what's wrong with me. It was hard to look at that age that okay, this is this is the sport that I'm doing, and it's not about me that they don't like. And I have to like think that my body is now the, for example, the gymnastic performance. So that in the beginning I think was mentally something um, that I didn't, maybe then I didn't realize that the meaning of that. But now looking backwards, I can see it. And when I coach athletes, it's something that I try to be there and saying to them that, okay, this is what happened today, and now we are going towards the next one. And yeah, this takes time. It's not something that you can build like during 1 year, even like that you are looking for the girls in the magazines back in the days, and you were like, "Oh my God, I want to look like her," and the realizing that how much work it really takes to be in that kind of shape and in that kind of muscle mass. So that was in the beginning something I think that it was like I said that now I understand the meaning of that, and then I was like more maybe like, okay, why they don't like me so much?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people do not get that. Like, yeah, even if you do train your butt off for a year, it's like, yeah, you're not going to look like these people in the magazines. Unfortunately, it takes so much dedication and determination in this sport. And where do you think that determination, that drive comes from for you? Because that's one thing that separates a lot of bodybuilders from the general public is that the general public, I mean, yeah, they can train all they want, but they don't have that drive for those days when they're not feeling it or when they just want to give up. Where does that drive and motivation come from for you to still be able to push through?
Well, I have always loved doing sports, like different kind of sports. So I think, well, of course, this is my lifestyle now. I have been doing so long time this, and this is my passion, and it's really in my heart to do fitness and living this lifestyle. But I think I have all the time I have believed in me. Like when I was 18 and I started to compete, and I thought that okay, one day I will be in Olympia. So it took some time, but yeah, I have been there now. So I have been all the time believing that I can do better. I can be better, and I can develop, and I can maybe reach my goals. Or if I don't reach them, at least I have done all that I can. So there is no like if word, because I have done it, and I'm going to see how long does it like where can I get when I do my best. So I think that that's one thing that I have all the time believed in me, and then I have been saying to me like I can be whatever else, but I'm not the one who gave up. So so whatever happens, there are good days, bad days, but I'm not the one who gave up. So I'm just and like I said, I love training. I love going to the gym. So for me, it has more been like that I'm realizing that, okay, sometimes I need to rest too. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that rest is so important to him. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I mean, everyone always has that one body part when they first start working out that really, really takes off that they don't have to train as much. And then everyone always has that one body part that just lags behind that they have to train into oblivion to get to catch up. What was one body part that really took off for you? And what was one body part that's like been a pain in the butt since day one?
it has actually changed like during the years. But when I started, I think I always had quite good delts. So they were like immediately something that they were growing faster than other parts. And the first, I think, the hardest was to train back to get to feel it in the right places and really feel that okay, I can feel my back. I think that was the first muscle part that was the hardest one. And I still see girls who come into sport that that is the first where they have the more challenges to build. But later on, because I think that every time I have like some kind of goal, like, okay, then I have like, now I need to get that back. I need to build back. Then when I was concentrated in that, I got some good development into that. And then I realized that, okay, I need to build my quads now. And then when I have bigger quads, then you notice that, okay, where are my glutes? So there is always like a new thing where you need to concentrate more. But yeah, in the beginning, it was definitely it was my delts that were good and the back that was more difficult.
That's one thing that just drives me crazy about the sport is that, like, yeah, you're never good enough. There's always gonna be one body part that's you're always gonna need to like, and then as soon as you prove on that, oh, you're gonna find something else. So it's always evolving. You know, the process of just getting bigger and better. But I mean, into this lifestyle though too as well. I've always found it fascinating to sort of find out what it's like in different countries because in the U.S., I mean, our reaction to bodybuilding is I think is a little bit different than it is for most countries. What are some of the differences because you have been to the states and competed here? What are some of the differences that you've seen as to the way that Americans react to bodybuilders as opposed to how Finnish people react?
Well, here there are still, even though we live in 2022 year 2022, there is still something about when you are like a woman and you have muscle. That's still something that is like, oh, what is that? And if you are like a feminine and you are muscular and you are powerful and you are strong, that's still a little bit like, oh, what is that? But yeah, it has changed during the years, of course. I think that now all the girls, they want to have muscle and they want to look not anymore like Miss Finland. They want to be like muscular and they want to train. So that's a good thing, I think. But yeah, when I come to the States, it has always been more like how do you say? Even in the streets, when I walk, somebody might come and say, "Wow, girl, you work out, you work out," and then they ask something like, "How long has it took to be in this shape?" And I think the atmosphere is really like positive in the USA. I think, yeah, yeah.
That's one thing that I've found as well, and I mean, I'm glad it is getting better in places like Finland and others because, yeah, it's just I don't get it myself why some people just have to react like that. It's like it's not your body. It's like what problem do you really have with it? But it's just yeah, I don't even understand that. But nutrition is just such a big thing in this sport that isn't talked about as much as it should be. What are some of the bigger nutritional changes that you made when you really got into this lifestyle? Because most people do not understand that. I mean, that nutrition makes up like 80 to 90% of these results that you're going to see.
Yes. Well, I started to have like real like then I knew what I'm eating. Because before, even though I trained and I competed in gymnastics, it was more like I remember that I have been I started my first diet probably when I was 11 or 12 years old because it was part of the gymnastic thing. But then we didn't know anything about the nutrition or how to do it right, or so we just like decided that okay, after 6 o'clock we don't eat anything. So it was like something that we made up together, or somebody has heard something from her mom what they are doing as the diets. So I think when I started fitness, there came the like routine that I'm going to eat every 3 hours. Before it might be whatever. Or when we had like the game coming on, it was more like that, okay, before the game we don't eat so much or only like pineapple and cottage cheese and things like that. So when fitness came into my life, I think that nutrition and diet it came much better. Like I started to eat every 3 hours. There was protein, carbs, good fats, vitamins, everything. So it was much, much more healthier, I think. Yeah. So that was the big change. So I was eating more and more times during the day. And I started to know what this means and why I eat protein. And before it wasn't even like, I just said like, okay, now I eat pineapple because it takes some fluids away. So it was I didn't know much about nutrition before I started to do fitness.
Yeah, that is a whole podcast in and of itself of just nutrition because that is just one thing that people are just so shocked about when they realize like how much of an impact it has on this sport. But a myth that I love to bust on this podcast, and it's gotten better the last 5 years due to Instagram, is that there are just so many women that have that fear that if they walk into the gym and they pick up one dumbbell, they're going to put on 50 pounds of muscle overnight. And it's just like, first of all, I would spend my entire life savings to train with you then because you have found the secret that everybody and their brother's looking for. But how do you deal with that now, hearing that? Because I bet you still hear that today. How do you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that the women are afraid that they will be muscular just when they train once a week. Um, I don't hear it anymore so much, but of course there is still like because like I said, now I have a lot of girls who are 20 years old and among them, I think there is now more like that they want to be muscular and they want to be like a powerful female. So I don't hear it not so much anymore. But of course, when they have more age, there is still this coming on that I don't want to look like you, like me. Meaning like, and I'm saying like, no worries, no worries. It's not going to happen overnight. Not during the next year
And
even.
if it does, you can become her trainer, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, there might be a little bit of that still coming on. I think that's more like when people don't know uh, what it really takes to be in certain shape or I don't know because I think it's more like that they don't just know what it means when they say they have heard it in somewhere that somebody is saying that I hope when I start lifting weights I don't get muscles. So So they are just saying it aloud, even though they don't even know what it really means. And do they even believe in that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, and like I said, fortunately, it has been getting better. So hopefully, it's that myth gets erased with time. But one thing about this sport that a lot of people don't understand is that for a lot of these competitors, posing is the hardest thing for them. It's harder than your nutrition. It's harder than your working out. I would have never guessed it in a million years myself. But what has your experience been like with posing?
Well, I in the years when I went go backwards again, it was I thought that because I did also fitness routine that I don't need to. Of course, I can do the posing. That was the first thought that I thought that okay, let's do the quarter turns. And yeah, I got this. Let's go on stage. I got this. But yeah, then I started to really look like how am I posing my physique, because somebody started to say that is that the best posing you can do. And looking at back the pictures and videos, you can really see that um, I think I looked a little bit more worse when I started to pose when I just was standing there. So it's really something that you need to practice and that you find your own good angles, how you should pose, because it's not the same posing for everyone that is good. That you can find the best ones that fit for you. So I think it's really, really important that after every competition, I look at the pictures, I look at the videos, with my coaches, and I can really see that okay, this pose I can do better, and this looks really good. Let's keep this like this, and let's change this for the next one. So yeah, it's always something still because also my body is changing. I'm getting more muscle somewhere, and maybe getting some changes to the whole physique. So of course, then also the posing might be something that you cannot pose after years the same time, same way you were posing before. So I think that's something that is really really important to add also there, even though you have all your training going on, cardio, diet plans, and when you compete in fitness, there is also routine practice. So yeah, you just have to make the time also for posing because that is the thing that you compete with
Yep,
in the physique round.
absolutely. And out of your physique poses that you do, what is your favorite pose and what is your least favorite pose?
Um, I probably like the most of. I've started like the front pose because well, we have front, side, back, and front. There is no most muscular, but but yeah, in a way, I like them all. Yeah, because they can show different angles from your body. So yeah, but probably the hardest one is the front pose actually that you remember to get all the details out what you have in your body, like quads, like delts, back, abs, everything. So I think that might be the hardest actually.
Yeah, another thing that people don't understand is that, like, yeah, you are flexing every part of your body. It's not just the area that you're intending to do. It's just, yeah, you got to get everything down pat, and just being able to hold it too is another thing that so many people really struggle with. But when you were on that stage and they announced your name and you realized, oh my God, I'm a pro now, what is that moment like for you? Because so many people do not understand that for a lot of these guests that I have on, winning that pro card is just, it's the highlight of a lot of their careers just because that's the affirmation that, like, hey, I'm a pro now. I can do all these things. So, what was that like when they announced your name?
Um, the first time when I competed as a pro athlete, it was already like then when I realized that I got my pro card. I think that was something like mind blowing. Like now it happened. And it had been so long time my like huge goal to one day be an IFBB pro athlete and then maybe compete in the Olympia. So of course when I got my pro card I was like yes I did it, but then the next goal came right away like okay the next one is that someday I want to be in the Olympia hopefully. And then my first pro competition, of course, it was exciting to be there to see all the big stars and stand among them. So the whole experience was exciting, and I think I was just like wide eyes open, like this is now the moment where I have been waiting for so many years. Now I'm here and I'm stepping on stage with the best ones, and of course it was great moment to achieve finally a goal and then be there and be able to compete against the best in the world.
We see the Olympia badge that you have on your shoulder. What was that like when you got to go there for the first time and just be like, oh my God, I'm at the Olympia?
I think that my first time actually went so that I don't remember from the whole trip so much. Like it was because it was like I said already, so many years that it was something like Olympia, Olympia. I want to go to Olympia. I had been there before as just like a tourist. I was there probably 5 or 6 times to watch the show and the whole weekend. It was even then when I was just watching, I was feeling like, oh my God, these are the best in the world, and let's see if I can be here. And then when I was there, uh, it was like being like when you are in your dream, and it's like reality. It's happened really. But yeah, I think that the first time went just in some kind of like a fog. Like, is this really happening to me? Am I here? Because then the next year was totally different. It was I had the different kind of mindset when I was going there. The first time was more emotional. I think I cried before going to this Las Vegas when I was back at home and training and doing my cardio, and then I was watching all the videos, and I was so emotional going to the first Olympia, but the second one was totally different. Then I had already like my mindset that okay, now we are competing, so that we are going to get some placings, and now we are going to do like what I can and see how I can do there. And of course, the third time was even more that. And now when I'm going there my fourth time, so it's going to be like, yeah, I have now my goals in my head, and um, now I know that because I have been a few times already there, so it's not anymore like, okay, I made it. Now I can be more like, okay, I'm here and I can really like, I can try to be the best. I can bring all the best that I can out of me and see how I look among others, and that I belong this stage. It doesn't feel anymore like, okay, I'm the first time here, and let's see how this girl from Nokia, Finland, how she looks here. Now I know already how I looked before, and how the best ones look, and I think that I can really like I can be a tough competitor. Yeah.
Out of your 4 wins that you've had as a pro, which one has meant the most to you?
Um, well, in a way, the first one is always something that feels so unreal. Like now I did it. I finally did it. But mean, they always mean a lot when you win a show. It's always something that I think I will remember always. Like the whole journey towards that and the weekend and the feeling after that when you wake up the next morning and you are like, I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not imagine what that feeling's like myself, but it must be nice. But I love to also talk post show because most people don't understand that that look that you present on stage is not sustainable. You're not going to look like that 365 days out of the year, unfortunately. And I think, I mean, just a lot of people just do not understand that. But what has that been like for you, sort of realizing that, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to maintain this look? And has it gotten easier for you as your career has gone on to sort of be able to deal with the fact that, hey, I can look as great as I want on stage, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to maintain it?
Yes, or it's more like that I like the both looks that I have in my body. So I understand that, okay, on stage, I'm the competitor Minna, and this is the look that I need uh, to have to be able to compete and be like competitive. So I understand that is the look when I'm looking when I go to the show, and then after the show, I understand that this is This is the normal way uh, how I look, and I like that too. They both have like that good good things that there is. So I think that it's not like, for me it has never been so that, oh no, now I look like this and I'm not in my competition shape, because of course we are women and we need to understand how this whole thing goes. So now when I'm in the off season, I just concentrate training hard and doing my homeworks towards that moment. And when I'm just going to go on stage and show what I have worked for.
Yep. Absolutely. And being a female bodybuilder, what do you think is probably one of the biggest myths or misconceptions that you deal with from the public? Because there are so many myths about just bodybuilding in general, but when you add the female aspect to it, I mean, there's so many misconceptions that people have about the sport.
Uh, well, like I said, there is still somebody who is like,
You're
how
always
can
going to
you
have that one person. Yeah.
Yeah, there is always that one person, but I think in all different categories in life, there is always that one person. So it's not only like a muscular woman or things like that. I think the most important thing is that you do in life the things you want to do, and you are proud of yourself. You do what you want to do in life. I think that makes you, of course, happy when you like yourself and you like your life. And if there is that one person, there is always that one person. So you're not living your life to her or to him. You're living your life to you. So, so maybe like realizing that and really going towards your goals and living your kind of life, then it doesn't matter when there is that one person who thinks something else, because we are different. And I think that's the good thing in life, that there is different personalities and different goals. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. It definitely does make things interesting. And I mean, when you are just getting into that shape for these shows, I mean, your mind can sometimes betray you a little bit, especially as you get closer to the shows. How do you deal with some of those prep brain moments? Because that is one thing about the sport that I didn't really get until I started, talking to a lot of these bodybuilders. How do you deal with that? Because that really is one thing that I think just makes this almost impossible to step on stage. Just realizing that like your brain is just you need the nutrients, but as you're slowly, getting into that contest shape, I mean, you just slowly just becoming slower and slower on a lot of things. How do you deal with that?
So you mean when I'm going to the competition?
Yeah. How
How?
do you deal with those last few weeks when you're just feeling like crap, basically? Let's be honest.
Um, well, I think also probably the fact that I have been competing so long time. Um, I think that the people around me, they don't notice anything so big difference. Am I having a diet or am I eating more? I think I'm like, everything in my life is quite smooth and stable. So, but of course, the last few weeks, they are something that you are really like preparing for that show, and all your mind is there, and you are saying that, okay, this time in 2 weeks I'm on stage, and you talk more about the moment when you are going to that stage. And of course, you need more rest then, and it's good that if you can like organize your life so that you already know beforehand that the last month I'm doing a little bit less work or things like that. So you have also time to rest, and you can be like, when you are tired, you can be tired, and then you just train, you eat, and then you rest. So I think it's good if you can like prepare beforehand, that you have the time before the show that you can rest enough. Yes.
Yeah. Rest is so important and it's so undervalued by a lot of people. But once you get into this sport, rest just becomes so important. But what is your relationship like with cardio? Because I personally hate cardio myself. And unfortunately, when you do become a bodybuilder, you sort of sign a deal with the devil when it comes to cardio. Is it something that you enjoy or something that you just realize that, like, hey, I have to do this?
I think I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has never been my um, my favorite. My favorite is definitely training with weights, and I always love to perform and do like dance and choreographies and things like that. But like, if somebody says that, okay, go and run and or do that, I was like, what? So that has never been like my passion really. But I understand that is part of the game, that is part of the sport, and of course, when I want to get in shape, that's just something that I need to do, and everything else is, and also that actually when you do that, you get really good, like your body starts to feel good, and you'll start to be more energetic if you start your morning with the cardio session. So it's actually it comes a habit, and you start to love it even.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all with those repetitions. But like you mentioned before, you have been in this sport for a while, and this is a sport that evolves so much year by year. I mean, if you were to even look at the changes 5 years ago as to where it's at now, I mean, it's almost a different sport. What have been some of the biggest changes that you've seen yourself in the sport as you've gone on in your career?
Of course, when I started, it was a much smaller group who were involved. It was only fitness and women's bodybuilding and men's bodybuilding. So there are much more categories, much more athletes, and everything is, I think, bigger at the moment. And of course, because there is social media, so it has also like changed a lot in the industry. Like now you don't need to live anymore. For example, in the USA, when I started, the Finnish bodybuilders, they were like talking that they need to move to the States if they want to do well in the competitions. So they need to be there. But now, when we have like social media, you can live wherever and still do well in the competitions and compete. I think so that the world has like opened during these years, and there isn't anymore like that kind of like, I don't know, was it even like a myth or something like that? That yeah, when you want to be a pro, you need to move to the USA and things like that. So I think those are the biggest changes, that there are more categories, which is good because now you can choose where you want to compete, and yeah, and the world has came like together. Like now we are doing this interview, you and
I,
me.
I, I mean, yeah, I'm talking to you from Finland. We're halfway across the globe, basically, everyone. We're able to talk in real time, which is just amazes me even to this day when I have people that are from that far away, and it's like, how are we doing this? But we are. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So those are maybe the biggest changes what I can see. I think at the moment, yeah.
What is your favorite part about the United States whenever you come visit?
Uh, I think everything, like the culture, the people, because in Finland we don't have small talk, for example. So
That's
everything
one
is
thing that
so
so many
easy.
people that I've talked to talk about how that's the one thing that really just drives them crazy is like they're not used to people just coming up and just talking to them and just trying to get some small talk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So immediately when I in the aircraft coming to USA, I can feel the whole atmosphere and culture and things, and yeah, I love it. Yeah.
That, that is great. And I mean, being that you are a trainer too as well and you coach people as well, what is probably some of the biggest struggles that the people that you train deal with? Because I mean, everyone who wants to get in shape, I mean, there's so many obstacles that people go through trying to get in shape, but what is probably some of the biggest obstacles that you as a coach deal with when it comes to coaching people?
I think the fact that quite many are like they are really like into this, like, okay, I want to do this the next year, or I want to compete the next 5 years, but then after 1 or 2 months they realize that this is actually your lifestyle, like it's not only like 1 month project that you you're getting shape. So if you want to compete, it actually it's like every day you have to want to do this, and you have to love this, because it's if it's more like, oh no, now I have to go and work out, oh no, now I have to eat this, I don't like to eat this, or so I think that's the biggest how do you say obstacle, that maybe some people don't really understand what it really then takes if you want to compete. So it's might if they especially if they don't have a sport background, so it might be like that they have thought that this is something else, and when they start to do it by themselves, then they realize that maybe this is not the thing that I really want to do. So maybe that's something. And then I just, of course, I have to think how can I help, and maybe after a while she starts to like it more, or then it's just so that maybe the competitions aren't for her.
That time thing is a huge thing where people just don't understand how long this is going to take for you to get ready to go for a show because yeah, it takes so much time. But if someone were to walk up to you and say, Mina, we made the decision, you can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
One thing that I would like to change in bodybuilding. Oh no, now I need to think a while. You can,
It can be more than one if you've got more. I don't, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
I can give you mine while you're thinking.
Give,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, for me, it would be obviously equal pay, obviously, because I mean that's just and my thing is like if you're a pro in the sport, you should not have to have like a 9 to 5 job. Like you should be able to just like do bodybuilding because it's hard enough as it is. And with judging too, where it's like if you compete in shows in back-to-back weekends, one show might want a little bit more of a leaner look and the other one might want a little bit of a fuller look, and it's hard to really gauge like where you're going to place at some places because it's just there's human error in everything, but especially in the judging too. I wish they would be a little bit more like this is exactly what we want, and not so like oh we might want a little bit more about this next year. Just be a lot more open with what they're looking for.
Yeah, that is actually, yeah, you have really good ones. Yeah, that's actually really good that now there is like female bodybuilding is back into Olympia, for example. So I think that's really good thing that all the categories are back there. So that's a good thing, I think. And also that what you mentioned as well, that the equal pay, and like also because how much work we really know that how much work it takes for a female to be really muscular and compete in the female bodybuilding industry, for example. So it takes a lot of work. So it has been great to notice that also they're like what the winner gets, and all the wings of strength work is it's great. Yeah, I think that's a good change. What is actually already like happening, that also that the female athletes are much more like appreciated.
Is it harder being in Finland to sort of have that motivation because like you said like a lot of people move to the states for bodybuilding because they just want to be around more people that compete and they want to be around the scene? Is it harder to have that motivation being so far away, or do you sort of benefit from it where you're able to sort of just be on your own and just really focus on yourself?
I think there are the like pros and cons living here. Um, but of course, the motivation comes inside of me because I really want to do this. So no matter where I would live, this would be my passion, and I want to really like do this. There is no like a motivational thing, I think. But of course, when there are a lot of always when I come, for example, Olympia, or I don't know, the USA, because there is a lot of competitors and same people that have like same goals and attitudes towards training. Of course, it's super motivating to be there and see everyone, and it's like you're being in a cloud for that week and that weekend. So of course that's great. And being in Finland, of course, I'm not then there where everything happens. So of course there is also maybe some not good things like being away from where everything happens. But then in a way, I train in a dungeon.
Oh yeah.
I'm here alone, and so I can in a way like just focus on my training, and then I just fly to USA to compete. So yeah, there are good things and there are bad things.
I prefer being alone in a gym myself. I mean, that's my go-to where it's like, don't bother me, just leave me alone, let me do my thing and get it done. So I totally understand that. And lastly, I mean, what are your plans looking like for the rest of the year? Where would you like to be at a year from today with your goals?
A year from today, well, this year I'm still, I already qualified to Olympia, so I'm going to compete in December in Las Vegas, this year's Olympia, which I'm really excited. Now it's time to work towards that and uh, to the work that is needed to place higher there. So I'm really, really excited, looking forward to that because last year I competed a lot. Uh, I just went back to my diary and I was like, okay, there was only like few weeks that I wasn't on a diet last year. I competed a lot and now it's good to have off season and just to concentrate things that I need to develop towards Olympia. So that's really great. And
What's your biggest area you're looking to develop?
uh, well, in a way, my like the whole look in my physique, the back area a bit, and I have actually few things that I'm working at the moment. Yeah, and I think that the off season does really good on that because competing all the last year and being on a diet, of course, it makes you look a little bit tired. So this is good. Good that I can just concentrate on training and also training my routine. I'm I already did my new routine in Arnold USA, and now I can just like improve that. So I think I have really good now time for the Olympia, and training is going well. So I'm excited about that. But where I'm going to be a year from now, hopefully I have competed also Arnold USA next year, and of course my goal is to be in the top six, top five. So now I'm in that top eight athletes in the world. So of course, next goal is to get higher to be in the top five, maybe. So that's definitely my goal, and I hope that I reach that during the next year. But I see myself training. I see myself competing, coaching, and living the life that gives me a lot of joy and happiness. So that is something that I see myself at. Yeah.
That is great. And before we wrap things up, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Of course, I want to thank all the people that are standing behind me because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here going into my fourth Olympia without them. Even though this is an individual sport, this is like a team sport. So my coach Alina Popa, we have worked already years together, and I think everything is going every year better and better because she knows now how my body works and we both are excited to go to the Olympia again and then Jani Ihalainen who is here in Finland helping me with all the workouts and training and he's here the one who is looking out for me like how I look and what I need to train and then, of course, I have worked with Protan already years or so, so I always know that I have the best tan on me. And I actually have a competition here in Finland that is by my name, so it's Minna Pajulahti Grand Prix. It's in April, so I'm looking forward to talk about that too.
How great is that to have a whole pro show name or have a whole show named after you?
It was actually great when the Ian from Two Pros Pro called me and said that this is something that also like he and the IFBB Pro League is saying that because now I'm in Finland and I'm the one who is competing and at the moment the one who has succeeded so well. So of course it felt great to get that kind of thing happening, a competition with my name. So of course it was like, oh my God, yeah, thank you. So yeah, thank you to the whole IFBB Pro League and everyone who is organizing shows. So then we can compete and then we can go towards our dreams. and towards Olympia around USA, all the biggest competitions in the world. So without this league and everything, my life would be totally different. So of course, big thank you goes to the whole league too, all the judges, promoters, everyone who is involved.
Absolutely. And again, you guys go and give Minna a follow on her Instagram page down below. I mean, buyer beware. You will get inspired to get off that couch and stop eating all those Twinkies and get in shape. But again, Minna, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing your journey. And I look forward to talking to you again where we'll get an update. And yeah, I honestly do think you'll be placing top 5 because I think you have just a great package. And I look forward to seeing how you're going to bring it up for this next year.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be on your show. And yes, follow me.
Absolutely. Everyone, yeah, go and give her a follow. Leave a link down below. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.